For the There we go. We're live. Hey, everybody. Toby Salgado here. I'm the host of Super Agents Live. If you don't know, and on that show, superagentslive.com, and you can follow it on iTunes and Stitcher. What we do is we talk with top producing real estate agents, the top coaches in the nation, as well as authors. So today, one thing, right, we do with our show is in 57 countries. We stream about 35,000 hours of content. I get a ton of questions, and I try to answer them all by email. But what I want to do while we're doing this show today is so we can interact, right? We're live, and I'm not alone. Today I have, hold on a second. What we're going to learn about today, what we're going to talk about, a few episodes ago, I did a show about taking action, and it seemed to really resonate with the audience. You know, because I think people, when they think about taking action, they get stuck. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to prioritize. So today, this episode is going to be about taking action. And again, it's not just me. I have a panel. So a returning champion, a lot of you know this guy who follows the show, Greg McDaniel.
Hey, what's going on, Toby?
Not much, man. Glad you showed up. The other guy we have, and I'm real excited to introduce him to you. His name is Frank Klesitz of Get Viral, and on the street he's known as Special K. Hey, Frank.
Special K. I like that. Hey, well, I'm Frank Klesitz of Viral Marketing. I'm helping Toby put these on, and hopefully we got a really good, powerful show for you today to learn some cool stuff on taking massive action. Right?
Awesome. So look, for everybody, again, if you're unfamiliar with the show, what I'd love for you to do is you can just go to superagentslive.com, scroll through our guests. We've had really the most influential voices in the industry on the show. So scroll through, find somebody you like, and hit play. And then if you love it, subscribe on Stitcher, Stitcher.com, and iTunes. So look, to get started, taking action. Why do people get stuck, right? Why do people have such a hard time? And look, let me ask it to you, Greg. I know you've done a ton of research. You know, your background is you're a 35-year-old guy in real estate, and you got stuck, and then you came back. I mean, maybe just take 2 minutes and give us a little bit of background about you.
All right, so yeah, like you said, Toby, I started when I was 21. I came directly out of college, and for all of you that don't know me, I was a complete and utter screw-up. I mean, I was the perfect storm of screw-ups. I was 65 pounds heavier than I am now. You know, I had no direction in life. I started working in a warehouse, and my father, who's been in the business for 42 years this year, he let me kind of go my own path for a little while, and then he was like, you know what, Greg, why don't you get in the business with me? And I fought him for a little while, and I talked to all my friends. They said, Greg, is perfect for you. So I decided to jump in, and I'm going to go do it for 6 months, make the old guy happy, and then I'm going to move back down to LA and become a movie star. Well, 15 years later, obviously you tell me that did not happen. So with that bad attitude of mine, I got into the real estate business. I was very opinionated. I thought I was the king of everything, and I fought with my team, fought with my father, doing everything, didn't want to learn. Well, you know where this is probably going to end up. I hit rock bottom because I had amassed everything. I had 2 houses, 2 cars, I had a beautiful woman, I had everything people would want. And then 2008 happened, and everything was gone. I lost my houses to foreclosures, or bankruptcies. I went down to $35 to my name, quite literally $35 to my name. And I went to bed that night somewhat freaking out, if you can imagine why. And I was going, okay, so how am I going to pay my bills? And at that moment, I remembered that I know how to prospect incredibly well. And so I got up the next day. I put a dress shirt on, I put dress pants on, and a tie on, which, by the way, was extremely rare to me. And the reason why is the fact that when I was, Mr. Problem Child in the office, I would wear flip-flops, shorts with a belt with a bottle opener on it, by the way. And this is when I was meeting with million-dollar clients. You can kind of see how this was a problem, right? So I went out there, and I just had to bootstrap it from the ground up because I had no other option. I had to make this work. So I did 7 days a week. I door knocked, and I didn't stop. And then I found out about a triple dialing program called Mojo, and I sat on the phone after I would go out and do door knocking, then I'd come back in and do cold calling. And in the last 2 years, I've been able to do just about 69,000 plus cold calls for myself. So I know how it is when you're stuck, and I found a reason and a why, and I think that's something that I believe, Toby, we want to talk about today. It's finding that why and understanding why you're stuck. Is that correct?
Well,
Absolutely.
yeah. I mean, I think that's a piece of it. I mean, I think. Look, let me tell you. I don't know if you want to chime in, Frank, before I start telling you my thoughts.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So here's what I see. And again, I get tons and tons of emails. What I see is that people, number one, they plan too much, right? Because there's this bit about failing. They're scared to fail, so they plan. They listen to podcasts. They read another book, and they think like, "Am I ready to go?" No, I'm not ready to go. I don't feel great, so I don't know it all. I'm not an expert, so I listen to more podcasts and I read another book, and that's really a vicious cycle. You might be learning, but my thoughts on failing. Right, we've all heard this thing: fail forward, fail forward. You know, what does that mean, right? Take baby steps and just start going. What does that mean? And if you think about it, for me, right, baby steps. And if you really sort of unpack that, right. And by the way, the hashtag for the show is unpack that idea. It's a big follow train. Tweet it out. Use that hashtag. You'll get new followers. I'll follow you. But so if you think about baby steps, you know, what does a baby do? A baby crawls, right? Stands up, takes a step, falls down, fails. Right? Fails forward, stands up, takes a step, falls, fails. So babies, when they're thinking about walking, they learn by failing. You know, they learn by doing. And I think if, you know, my background, and we can get into it later if we want, but my background is all about that. You know, I fail forward. I get up, I do something, it works, it doesn't work. You know, I course correct and move forward. And I think in terms of people not taking action, I think you're right, Greg. I think one thing is, right, know their why. And you have to, and how do you find your why? That's a tough one. But you know, the whole notion of just taking baby steps and failing forward, learning while you do, is something that I think people really need to digest. You know, it's okay to fail, right? You know, every Thomas Edison, right? I found 10,000 ways the light wouldn't work or some weird thing. But you know, it's all about just doing it. And I'm not. And look, that's Nike's slogan, right? Just do it. Why don't people just do? And again, that's sort of what we're going to talk about on the show. And hopefully, you know, why are you stuck? Why don't typical people do it? And you know, where are you? When we get to the Q&A section, we can talk about you, and hopefully we can sort of, you know, break you loose and from the whatever spot you're in.
You know, go ahead. Sorry, Frank.
No, I couldn't relate even more to what you're saying on the taking action point. And I think what you were saying earlier about all the information that's out there is that information can very much become an opiate of,
yes.
I'm just going to consume information all day long and consume information or be addicted to buying information. I mean, you know, you see different emails coming across, pitching different programs and seminars and whatnot, and you're sometimes very scared to act on it. And I understand that challenge of having so much available to you. You love being in the world of the knowledge, but how do you actually take that knowledge and go act on it? And for me, that has always been something I think about every day. That's always in the back part of my mind, is that 80-20 rule of, like, it sounds to me like everyone's pitching that all the information is all equally important, and it's not. And you know, from a sales standpoint, what's the most important thing that you can do? And to me, and this goes back to you, Greg, is the 80-20 rule of anything in sales, outside of all the marketing and anything we do at viral marketing, anything, is making the number of contacts required every single day.
That's right.
And if I could focus on that, everything else always seems to fall in place. And if you can't make those contacts, you hire a sales team to make those contacts for you.
Like yourself.
Right? Yeah, like a sales team to do it. But still, those contacts are important. And what you find a lot of times, even too, without going too much on a distraction, but is you get caught up in all the information, you get caught up in all the new shiny objects and everything else. You start doing that, and those contacts go down, and that's the foundation for everything else. So I think that's an interesting insight.
You know what? I was talking to an agent yesterday, and we were going back here in the office, and I'm like, how's the door knocking going, right? Because for the folks that don't know this, I have trained agents across the country how to door knock, how to prospect, how to you know, build a team like what we have. Highly productive, you know, always driven, always trying to beat our last goal that we set. And I talked to the agent. I said, so how's life? How's business? He's like, well, you know, I haven't really been getting a lot of leads. I'm like, okay, well, tell me about what you've been doing. He's like, I've been door knocking. Okay, well, how many have you been hitting? About 50 a week, and I'm like,
Doors, like attempts?
like attempts. That's like 10 a
That's
day. I'm like,
pretty
well, we
bad.
have identified the problem, and we had agreed upon 50 doors a day when this agent joined our team. And when he first started, he got, I think, 5 or 10 leads the first day. So you're 100% right, Frank. It is all a law of averages,
And it's
and you
the
have to get out
content,
there.
not even the attempts. It's just how many people did you speak to today?
Exactly.
And
I
that's
know,
what's so
I know,
beautiful
I
about real
know.
estate is you can go up to anybody and ask them about real estate. Like in some industries like mine, like you have to speak to a very specific people every day, like a very specific niche of people you have to reach out to. But in real estate, you can just walk around Walmart and talk to 30 people and you'll get some leads.
It has to be anybody. I tell these agents, I had an opportunity to talk to a guy. His name is Dick Ward, but anyways, he's probably one of the most successful guys I've ever had the honor of being coached by. And I said, Dick, how did you become so successful? And I'll give you a level of the success we're talking about here. His team, when they were working at full capacity, were doing 2,500 real estate deals a year. And he started from absolutely nothing. And I said, Dick, how did you get to where you started to where you are now? He said, well, Greg, it's really simple. I knew nobody where I moved into, and I had only but time. So I took 25 business cards, and I put them in my pocket. I did not come home every day until I gave them all away. And so me being a smartass back in those days, I decided to push him. I'm like, okay, well, how long would that take? He's like, took me about 10 months. I'm like, okay, what happened in 10 months? He said, on average, I was closing 12 deals a month. I always had about 14 deals pending, and I had an incredible pipeline that just never stopped. And it's kind of like the compound effect by Darren Hardy. You have to compound your efforts on a daily basis. For a better image, think of filling up a bottle of water, okay? When you first start, you don't get anything pouring out the top. But if you keep putting the water in the bottle, it eventually starts pouring over the top. That is what happens to your lead pool. People don't understand that when you consistently, prospect, you will have consistent business. Our industry is just riddled with agents that should be doing a lot more business than they are, but they get caught up in whatever they get caught up in.
You said some really brilliant things there, man. I want to write down what you said.
Well,
I jotted
thank
these
you.
down.
Sweet.
These are really key. There's some moments of brilliance in that, and I want to share this with everyone so that everyone's like, so how do I take action? What do I do to actually get myself motivated to go out there? And here's some of the key words that you brought up in what you just said. You said it was really simple. It was simple. I didn't overcomplicate it with all the information that's out there. I picked something simple. Number one. Number two is I focused on one goal, which was my number of contacts, the people I speak to, which is the 80-20 rule in a sales job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number three is you implied that it was repetitive every single day, right?
Every day.
Every single day. It is
does not
a
stop.
completely repetitive, nonstop system that you can rely on. I'm just going to do it every single day and just get in that zone and to fight the distraction. You had a very clear goal on what the outcome was, and the outcome was it appointments or listings? It's probably appointments or listings.
You mean for Frank? I mean, not for Frank. You mean for Dick?
Yeah, for Dick. What was his clear goal?
His clear goal was simple, and this is everyone who's watching this. This is how hard it is to make money in real estate. Take 25 business cards, your business cards, hopefully, and go out and meet 25 new people every day. And you're probably looking at me going, Greg, you have lost your marbles, man. How am I going to do that? I know everybody in town. Yeah. But do they know that you do real estate as a profession? I mean, I'm talking like the guy you buy groceries from, your cleaners, here's a good one. Go meet your mailman or mailwoman. That person knows more about what's going on in the residential area around you than anybody else. I'm talking who's getting divorced, who gets things they shouldn't get mailed to them, who's getting, all kinds of stuff. And I mean, we made friends with our guy when I was growing up. His name was Mailman Mike. Cool guy. Loved the A's, and we had 4 season tickets at that time. And we couldn't use it all the time, so we'd go, hey Mike, we got some tickets for you. Do you want them? He's like, absolutely. And then finally be like, you know what? You might want to go talk to the 4 houses down. There might be a change. And damned if he wasn't right every single time. That's just a little inside tip for you guys.
What about personality? What about personality styles though? So here's those things. You got to take action. Let's think about, okay, what are some key things so I can actually execute. I had to keep this like dead simple. I got to focus on the 80-20 rule of contacts, and this is obviously taking action within the sales argument, but we can maybe expand this into anything in life, right? But from sales, the 80-20 would probably be contacts. I think the 80-20 rule in a relationship would probably be actually being mentally there with the person, at least for me, right?
Yeah.
You're there with them, and I think it was something else. That's my challenge. Okay. It needs to be repetitive daily, so it's consistent. You got to have a clear goal. But I wrote down one more, and it fits the personality style. It's interesting. You go into the real estate space, and there's lots of different coaching firms, right? A lot of different people. Kind of same idea. Go out and meet people and make sales, but different methods of doing it. And you find different personalities being attracted to a certain type of a method. And I was wondering maybe if you could share, maybe if there's people here that just, can you make all your contacts by referral? Could you make all your contacts through, referral partners?
Well, hold on. Let me jump just real quick. Let me just jump in here. I think you can build whatever kind of business you want, right? I mean, I had Wendy Popson on the show. She was a mom, didn't know anybody, had no list, had no database whatsoever. And what did she do? Right, the only thing she could do, she mined her husband's list. Her first year working part-time, she did $20 million. So there's lots of different ways. But here's, I think, Greg said it was simple. Frank wrote it down. It is simple. Number one, people think if it's simple, it's not going to work. It's got to be hard. It's got to be magical. I think and I'll get to my real point in a second. But for me, right, I've done 6 different companies. 2 have failed, 4 have been hits, and 1 has been a mega hit. And the deal is, in all those businesses at some point, right? Well, all businesses when you start them, right? You're pushing, and if you're successful, if you're doing all the right stuff, you get to a point where your energy and the business sort of reach equilibrium, right? It's running and you're running alongside it. It's just going. You're maintaining it. You're just feeding it. And then if you have done everything right, it gets to a point where your business starts pulling you along, right? And you're just trying to catch up, adding staff or whatever. So, but for me, and I've talked to many of my shows, I talked to very, very successful people. Everybody at some point, when it gets to where you're either in the equilibrium piece or your business is pulling you, it stops being hard. And when it stops being hard, you're like, something's wrong, right? Because it should be hard, or like it doesn't feel right, right? People, and you were talking about relationships earlier, Frank. I mean, all things are like this, right? If when you get into flow, if you don't understand that, you start to wreck it because it should be hard, right? Whether it's a relationship or a business or whatever, and you start to self-sabotage. People, that's we're little. I don't want to. We can go down that right in a second, but here's the deal. Here's what I think most people don't understand. Right? It's simple. Real estate is all about lead generation. Lead generation is all about making contacts, meeting new people, wherever you are, in the grocery store, the laundromat, the restaurant, the deli, the cafe, coffee shop, whatever. Go meet your local plumber, whatever it is. But I think some basic metrics that people don't understand. So I had Tom Ferry on my show, and Tom came on and said, he has an app. It's a free app. It's okay. It's not great, but it's free. And he, everybody should track everything. And Tom Ferry's organization tracks all the people they coach. And one of the things, the main thing that they track is how many phone calls, right? They're focusing on phone calls, but it's phone calls, doors, whatever. How many phone calls or doors, contacts, do you have to knock on or call for you to get a yes? Now, on average, it's 69. So that's 69 conversations. That's 69 interactions. Now, how many phone calls do you have to make in order to reach that 69? A lot more than 69. But even if you focus, that's what I think, again, if you focus, people out there going, well, at what point am I going to see success? It's focus on that 69 number. Now, some people, if you're really good, it's down in the 20 levels. I had a girl on my show, and she's been in the business for a long time, a lady, a woman, whatever. And all she does, her whole business is from her sphere, right? Past clients. And she knows that on the 12th call, she will make an appointment. So, and she only calls, I think she like 3 days a week she makes calls. But what she does is she puts pennies or paper clips on her desk, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 12, and makes a call, moves a penny down, makes a call, moves a penny down. And she knows when she gets that 12th one, she's going to win. She's going to get a yes. And I told her, I said, hey, listen, what you should do, if it's pennies, that 12th one, you should slap down a $100 bill, because that's the money call. But for the people that I coach, I had one guy, and he's always just bummed out, right? He'd go and kind of like your guy, right? He'd go and knock on 20 doors, and he'd get bummed, right? Because nothing would happen. He'd make 20 calls, bum, nothing would happen. And then I shared that with him. I said, listen, you're not doing enough, right? It's 69, right? That's the number, or 67. That's the number that Tom's even being coached. And once he learned that, he's like, it was weird, man. He's like a weight flew off his shoulders. Like, it's not me, right? It's not me. I just, it's not that I'm not good at this, or it's not that people don't like me. It's that I'm just not doing enough. And it's amazing. Like, bang, he started to take more action because he knew that he knew those numbers. So I think one thing, if people in the audience don't know that, I think that's something that, and you're bummed out about your business, I think you should digest that 67. It takes 67 interactions for you to get to a yes.
So you're talking about your conversion rate.
That's a yes for an appointment, or yes to a home sale?
That's a deal. From my recollection, that's a deal. That's a listing.
Well, speaking of lead generation, John Jackson has a question for you, Greg.
Yes.
Besides door knocking and cold calling, what other lead generation methods are working for you and your team?
Hey, John, good question for you. And to Toby's fact, I was just writing down some numbers here. We're doing a lot of online on Facebook and Google Plus through a company called Bold Leads. Phenomenal company. That thing just pulls like a freight train when it comes to online leads for us. And I know that for our area that we own, every 9th lead that comes through is going to be a solid lead for me. The rest of them are just, we got to manipulate them and work with them.
What's the offer you're running? Just get a free home value report, find out what your home is worth on Facebook?
Find out what your home is worth. Yeah, it's nothing. There's no rocket science, guys. There is no easy button in this industry. So if you think that, get off the call and go get a 9 to 5. You're going to be a lot happier because you're going to be constantly searching for something you're never going to find. The easy button is you. So we do cold calls, we do door knocks, we do mailers, we do social media, we do video, we do online, we do a lot of open houses. I know I'm forgetting something here. Events. But it all comes down to your conversion rate, and that's what Toby, like I said, was talking about. What is your conversion rate? So people get bummed out. They don't understand what their dollar per hour value is, or what the lead value is, or what every door or every call is valued at. Once you understand that, you all of a sudden become extremely productive. We built a spreadsheet to track my door knocking when I was out there door knocking for an entire year, 5 days a week, about 5 to 6 hours a day. And I found this: every 33rd door was a deal for us. But I also, it depends on how many people I either called or door knocked that day. I knew my every minute value. So once you understand that, so let's break that down or unpack that for half a second. What I'm talking about is this: how many people do you have to go contact to get one prospect? How many prospects do you have to get one client that's active? How many active clients do you have to put a deal together? Once you understand those numbers, you will see how valuable your time is and where you need to be spending it. And you don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. You can do it any way that you want. This is your business. There was a lady that I coached, and she's a really great lady. She told me flat out, Greg, I am not doing cold calls. I am not doing door knocks. I am not doing that. So what are you going to give me? So what I figured out for her is that she was really into gardening, and that I think she spent more time at gardening clubs than anything else. So I said, great, let's leverage this. Let's go out there. Let's go meet these people. So let's go talk to them. She says, well, there's already other agents in a couple of them. Like, I don't care. You know what? They're not always going to get along with the other agent that's in there. Why don't we go make friends with them? And so I did this. I said, let's do 5 pop-bys a week. And for you guys who don't know what a pop-by is literally what it sounds like. You go and stop by a past client or current client or prospect or friend or family, just anybody you know, their home, and bring some small item of value. And you just go say, hi, how's life? What's going on? I was in the neighborhood. So she brought by these little plants, and she did 5 a week. First week, I mean, I had to literally almost kick her down the road to get her moving. But when she did it, she came back in the next day, and the next week, and she was smiling from ear to ear. And I'm like, "You had a good time, didn't you?" She said, "I did. I had such a great time. They really enjoyed talking to me." I'm like, "Good. Step it to 10 next week." She's like, "Okay, I'll do it." So she continually did 10, and then she said, "Well, gosh, Greg, I want to do something else." I said, "Great, let's talk." She loves her yard, and so she has a bocce ball court in her backyard. She loves to barbecue, and so we came up with bocce, beer, and burgers, the triple B, right? And she started inviting these people to gatherings around her house to have a burger and play bocce and drink beer. Well, it became so popular that she had started to get a waiting list on this thing. When's your next event coming? And she got clients out of every one of those deals. So for every person out there, if you're not a cold caller, not a door knocker, you're not whatever, find what's natural to you. And right now, write down 2 things that are natural to you and where you can go and have a lot of fun. My business partner, Chris Callahan, he's an avid bike rider. So he joined a biking group. The guy has pulled more deals out of just going and riding bikes with people than I can ever. I never thought he would pull that many, but I obviously didn't know the group. But it's amazing. My father, Terry, he got into swimming, right? He's my other business partner. And what he did, he just got up there. He wanted to lose 30 pounds. That's all he wanted to do. He was not there for business. Guess what? We just put into contract for a $1.6 million buyer, and we brought on just under a $2 million home. Same guy from swimming.
Greg, we got some more questions for you, man. Thanks for.
Hold on. Let me jump in there real quick, because I think Greg's touching on something super important. And when people think about lead generation, it's not one size fits all, right? There's a lot of things to think about. There's free to paid, and you need to have multiple lead generation channels, right? So you need to have you certainly need to have a farm, and in that farm you mail, you knock, you call, but so that's one channel. Your sphere is a different channel. Greg was talking about a sports group. You should be a part of a sports group. It's free, right? That's your third channel. There's web leads. That's different. So you should really focus on having like 6 different lead generation channels. The deal is why that's so important. Number one is because they're totally separate audiences that don't overlap. And the challenge with some of those things is that you can't, Greg started his bit by saying, hey, I knew how much my time was worth down to the minute. Well, he knew that because he was able to track it. And when you start to do things like, mailers or, a networking group, a sports group or whatever, it's a little bit hard to track that stuff. But again, I mean, if you tracked all the other stuff, you could figure it out. But again, my main point is you need to have 6 different totally separate channels for lead generation.
I agree, or more.
Well, let's talk about one of those channels, and Holly, we'll get to your question here in a second. I want to answer. Jack asks, how do you actively pursue FSBOs and expires? What's the best way to get phone numbers for both of these? And I got some good ideas on that. I mean, you have your typical lead providers like RedX or LandVoice or Vulcan 7. Those are all companies you can pay to get the names and numbers of expireds and FSBOs. But here's the reality. And if you're people hire lead researchers. If you go to elance.com, you can hire someone overseas for generally between $3 to $5 an hour, which is very good pay, someone to work from home overseas, to do nothing but lead research, where you send them the lead sheet that they push out. Here's name, here's maybe first name, last name, maybe an email address if you're lucky, or some address. And what you do is you go to sites like Spokio, PIPL.com. If you're lucky, you can try using LexisNexis, their Accurate product. There's lots of different online ways where you can try to hunt down the information, and a lot of times use a skip trace. And a skip trace is where you get the name of their mother or their father or their brother-in-law, and you call their relatives saying you're trying to get the number of so-and-so about their house, and they give you the actual number, and that's how you go in.
Oh my God, I love that.
You follow me? That's called a skip trace. So what you have for a lot of the hard phone numbers, the way a lot of the top agents are getting the listings, whereas the average agent is not, is that they're using the skip trace feature through that they have lead research teams getting more information than you're ever going to get. So they're calling the relatives to get the real phone number.
And the research team is doing the calls, right?
No, absolutely not. The research team is doing nothing but lead research, probably spending maybe 10, 15 minutes on a lead. So you pull a list of all the expireds and FSBOs, and it gives you decent information, but those are just publicly available data sources. Mm-hmm. You take that and then you hunt them down online, trying to find everything you can. and then hopefully, through some of the more premium services, you can skip trace relatives, and then you call the relatives who answer the phone saying that you're calling about so-and-so's house. Do you happen to have their cell number and try and get a hold of them? They'll give it to you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
God.
And I think what Greg was saying earlier is so I have a VA through my Outdesk, and when I interview people, there were people, and this is in the Philippines, and it's cheap. It's like $9 an hour. I can certainly get it cheaper on Elance or Odesk, but their background, they're vetted. Anyhow, but when I was talking with these guys, my Outdesk, and this is not a commercial for my Outdesk at all, but there were people who had fantastic communication skills without, so great communication skills, and they didn't have an accent, right? Because you don't want some Indian guy.
Well, this is for someone who actually makes calls over, not just a lead researcher. This is someone you're hiring to make calls for you. Is what you're doing?
Right. Yeah. You could hire them to make calls, but again, it depends on where these people are in the arc of their business, right? There's free to paid. So if you want to focus on the free or low cost stuff, hire them to do lead research. Anyhow, I did have the guys from Land Voice Data on the show. I haven't had Redex or those other guys, but one thing I did like about Land Voice is that they use a different database when they, for their expireds or FSBOs. They use a database that only attorneys use. So even if it's a rental, they have Greg McDaniel's name. He may not live there, but they're able through this database to find a good number. That's and a lot of times that's a cell number. So anyhow, that's who I would recommend. And I have a link you can try out a month free. They give you 2 weeks. Give it a go, and it's just landvoice.com/superagentslive.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, that's a good answer. Holly Morgan asks, this is a good one. I like this one. This goes back to going out and just meeting people. Can you guys do a little role play on how you might get your card in the hand of, say, the guy behind you in line at the supermarket? I struggle with feeling like I look desperate or something when I meet new people and shove my card in their hands, and there's a lot of validity to that. I don't even know if I'd be comfortable giving my business card to someone in line.
It is the easiest thing to do.
It is. Holly, I feel with you on that question. I can't do that.
Holly, I just did Wednesday's show is all about meeting people. I tell my story. I just was at a conference in Portland last week and just a few days ago, and I had a goal. And there's 3,000 people in this conference. And when I went in, I was like, I kind of was deliberate. And that's one thing you have to be. You have to be deliberate. My plan is to meet 3 people, to give my card out, whatever that plan is. But you have to be, number one, deliberate. And number two, right, one of the easiest things for me if I want to meet that person, maybe for me it's easy to meet women because I can say, oh man, I love your bag. And it has to be a little bit organic. You can't just shove the card in somebody's hand, but I love your bag, I love your haircut, whatever, and why you here?
We got to role play this, man. So she wants to role play. We got to do a role play.
I'll do it with Greg.
Right, you're right. Okay, here I am. I am standing in line with my coffee.
Okay. Oh, with your coffee. Oh, dude, your coffee. So, hold on. I wanted to do it at the grocery store because I could say if you were in the grocery store, right? So if you're standing in line and say, hey, that's a cool coat. Where'd you get that?
Oh, thank you. I got it at Men's Warehouse on sale, super cheap.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what, man? I'll tell you what. A long time ago I bought one there, and then I've sort of gone back to Macy's when they do the $150 sales. But I don't like the fit, man. A lot of them have pleats. I don't like it. Would you recommend that place?
I would highly recommend it, and I really recommend you get the little kerchief to put in it to add a little color that matches your eyes.
You're a fancy guy. Hey, man. You know what? I'm not sure what you. My name's Toby Salgado, and I just happen to be in real estate. I don't know if you have anybody you can rely on when you have questions about real estate, but if you don't, I'd love to be the guy. Here's my card.
Oh, cool, great. It's funny you asked me. I'm actually looking to move.
Get out of here.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, for sure. So that's how that's what I would do. So Greg, you let's see how Greg's style.
Greg, let's hear your role play, man. I would almost, to answer your question, Holly, I'd almost ask the person that maybe I'm in a conversation with the checkout line, or I don't know, I'd almost make it a little more, this is going in like straight cold to somebody there. That's kind of like violating social norms. But that's where you get the business by talking to more people.
Don't tell her that, Frank. That's not violating social norms.
But it's not violating social, but that's how it feels to people. It's how it feels.
Well,
but that's the thing. When you talk to more people, that's what's going to get you the business, and that's why you make all the money, because you do things that people aren't normally wanting to do.
Totally.
We did that in college in sociology class. One of my assignments was to go into an elevator and stand, instead of looking at the actual elevator number, to stand looking at everybody.
For sure.
So
I was at
just to stage
UCSD.
it up.
That was my major, sociology. But look, I will say this: you're totally right, Frank. People get paid the big bucks for doing stuff that other people don't want to do, right?
Yeah.
Either outworking
By
them,
talking to the guy that talks to the person at the checkout line, which is totally fine, is going to do more deals than the person who doesn't.
100%. But look, here's the deal: all marketing, no matter what kind of marketing you're doing, it's all interruption based. All marketing is all interruption based. So if you can get your mind around that, like all marketing, whether it's pop-ups on your computer, a commercial on the radio or TV, you're interrupting my day. People are, in reality, they are trained to be interrupted. They may be a little bit annoyed, but that's okay.
But we gotta interrupt with something of value, and I want to go on the very next. We're right.
Well, hold on. What if I could show you a way in a conversation technique that is not interrupt based, and it will get the other person talking faster than you can imagine?
All right, then I'm at the grocery store getting my coffee. I'm ready to check out.
Okay. So go, hey man, are those your kids with you, man?
Oh, yes, they are.
Hey, you know what? I actually have 2 nephews and a brand new little niece. They're a blast, aren't they?
They really are. I'm glad I had all 16 of them.
You're an active man. What do you do for a living if you're that active?
Nothing. I stayed home all day and have kids.
You know what? That's probably a profession I would look into. But the reason I asked is that I noticed that your son has that hat on. Where'd you guys get that? Because my nephew's turning 5.
We got it at Caps Incorporated.
Caps Incorporated. Where is that?
Yeah,
by the way?
It's down the street. They sell caps for super cheap, and I highly recommend them. You got to go check it out.
Okay, I absolutely will. It's one of those things that since you seem to be blessed with staying at home. How long have you been able to do that?
Ever since my wife makes $1 gazillion.
You're not making this easy, Frank. That's when people have 16 kids and their wife makes $1 gazillion.
I stayed home. I mean, that would be great.
So what this technique is, if Frank was playing fair, it's called Ford. Some of you guys have a piece of paper and a pen in front of you. Get it out, write it down, write F-O-R-D down on the left side of your page right now, and I'm going to explain how this works. When they don't make $1 gazillion, is that F stands for family. Okay, so what you do is you just have conversations with people and you follow these simple rules. So, hey, did you grow up around here? Or is your family around here? How's your husband? How's your wife? How are your kids? Those types of questions involving yourself into their family aspect of their life. When you find an easy segue, which the natural flow of a conversation you go into, what is this one? Family occupation. Oh, that's incredible. So what are you doing these days? Are you still with ABC Company? Oh, no. Really? Tell me about that. How did you get involved in that line of work? Do you like that line of work? Would you do it again? How can I build your business for you or help you build your business? Then you segue into recreation. Man, you are crazy busy. What do you do? Or in Frank's case, man, you got a lot of time on your hands. What do you do when you're out and relaxing? Do you like food events? Are you a boater? Do you like art? Do you like going to the ocean? Are you a bike rider? Get involved in what they do in recreation. If the person's not a complete doorknob of a human being, you are going to get a natural flow of conversation, and it will segue down into probably the latter part of dreams. Where do you want to be in 10 years? Do you see yourself still living in the area?
Where's your ideal place to live? You can live anywhere else. Where's your
ideal place to live? Now, since you're consistently asking about them, always asking about them, they will have to, because a lot of reciprocity kicks in, they will have to ask you about you. Oh, wow, Frank, thanks for asking, so much about me. What do you do? Boom. There's your easy segue.
So keep asking enough about them until they finally ask what you do.
Everybody wants to talk. Yeah, everybody wants to talk about themselves. I think one of the challenge. I love that, and we can move on after this. But the challenge with that is that if when Greg was doing it, he was like super calm. Be careful not to interrogate people. You can just go boom, question, and it's like World War II Nazi Germany. Papers, please. So anyhow.
Yes, it's just like that. Good.
All right. Was there another one, Frank?
Oh no, the question. Yeah, no, it's good. No, the other question is this is actually very good. Is that you go into. Let me read the question. I'll get a little background on this. Ryan Smith asks, what are you offering when you are doing your door knocking? He came in late. This may have been offered, but what do you got to show? What he's saying is, like, when you show up to a conversation, you have to show up with value. You have to show up with like something of value other than just like, do you want to buy or sell your home? That's kind of like what you end the conversation with. So maybe we can spend some time here of like, if you're prospecting your past clients or your sphere or your door knocking, what's like a list of things of value that you can show up with for basically a reason to open the conversation.
There's a ton of things that we can talk about. I'll give you a couple of the easiest things to do when you're out door knocking. And if you guys want to go learn more about door knocking, I have 4 videos I made. They're on YouTube. Just go Greg McDaniel door knocking, and I'm sitting in a chair, and there's 4 of them, okay, in a white shirt. But this is what you do. When you go out, you either bring a market update, on a piece of paper with your name and logo on it, active, pending, and sold, what's going on in the area, showing them what's happening. It's this. Here's your script. Door opens. Oh, hey, hi. My name's Greg McDaniel. Well, then, as you're at the door, you have your piece of paper. And you're handing it to them like this, right? You're holding it right there, and you're not letting it down. You're smiling, and you're being very, warm and welcoming. And you say, "Hi, my name is Greg McDaniel. I'm a local real estate agent here with Rockcliffe Realtors.
No thanks. No
just
thanks.
Coming into the area. Oh, hey, you know what? Not a problem. It's totally fine. I'm just going to leave you some information about what the market's doing. I'm going to be coming back about once a month. So if you have any questions, I'll be here to answer them for you. But have a great day." That's if you get interrupted. And if you didn't get interrupted, you just finish it with like, "Hey, Greg McDaniel, Rockcliffe Realtor," so on and so forth. I just want to come on out and introduce myself. Want to give you guys an idea of what the market's doing. As you all know, we've had a very, active market in the last couple of months. So I just want to see if you had any questions I could maybe answer for you. And then, let the conversation go from there. Then, if you start having a dialogue with them, remember Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Gosh, did you grow up here? And you just let the conversation go from there. As you approach the door, this is another little side tip that I've started doing, and it works phenomenally. Well, not started doing, I've been doing it forever. But when you walk up, start noticing the house. Something. I don't care what it is. It can be the shutters. It can be the pavers. It could be the the front porch, the doorbell, the front door, windows, whatever. The grass, the flowers, and compliment them at the appropriate time. Gosh, this is a fantastic front door. Where'd you guys get that? Remember, you're complimenting their taste. This is their home. Tell them that it looks good. They will open up to you. I actually complimented a lady about these little plants she had out front, because I was looking for some plants around my house, and I'm like, what can you tell me about these succulents? And she just took off from there. It went from a conversation at the front door. She physically grabbed me by the hand, and she took me through her house into her backyard. We walked 8/10 of an acre. She told me every plant's story. And then she started taking the plants and ripping them out of the ground, putting them in a bag, gave me the bag, and she's like, "Here's your starter kit for your house." And by the way, yes, she is moving in a year. So guess what? My way back in, it's gonna be, "Hey, look, here's a photo of your plants. Look how well they're doing."
That's funny.
It's so simple.
It's funny about you also have to identify kind of the personality type quickly when that person answers the door. Yes. They're on the phone, know how to deal with them. I love those tips. I really like that. I mean,
here are my thoughts on it. Those are great tips for sure, and it was very, in my opinion, right? It's very like, here's a market update, and I'll compliment you, but I'm going to get to business, right? I'm going to get to the real estate piece. For me, and what I try to get my students to do is, if there's a school in their, let's say their farm, right? Try to get involved at school, because how warm is it if you come to them with something about their neighborhood, right? Something in their area, right? Whether it's hey, we're organizing a blood drive, and here's a flyer. Just want to let you know. Oh, by the way, I just took over this area, and my name's Toby, and I sell real estate. Or hey, I'm working. My name's Toby. I'm working with a local Fuerte Elementary School here, and we're doing a fundraiser next week, and here's this, right? So, or hey, I'm Toby. I just took over this area, and you know what? We're organizing a neighborhood yard sale 3 weeks from now. How about if you can offer something like that and where it's warm, you're gonna get a lot more traction than saying, okay, hey, here's a market update, and and all those things are good, but
you're right.
Those are my thoughts.
No, Toby, you're 100% right. Those are, as long as you bring value to someone that's out there, because let's face it, guys, they don't care about you until they know that you care about them, right? So do anything that comes to mind to bring value to that homeowner. It could be as simple as, hey, I'm inviting you over to a broker's tour, and I have free food for you, or come check out your neighbor's house.
Tell them what some of the homes. I mean, if someone came to my door right now, the only thing I want to hear them say, like, hey, I'm so-and-so realtor. Just to let you know, these 2 or 3 homes just sold for this price. What price would your home have to sell for if you want to sell it?
For you to become a seller.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you turn around.
I wouldn't sell for this amount. Oh, okay, good. And then I would hook him. I would say, look, I'm a realtor here in the area. These 3 homes just sold from these brokers. They don't have to be your listings. They just sold. Here's the prices they sold for. What price would your home have to fetch for you want to sell it? I love that question.
I love that too. I love that too. But what you need in order to do that, right, is you need courage. Now, you have it, Frank. Greg has it. I have it. Not everybody has that courage. And why don't people have courage is because at the end of the day, right, they don't feel like, no matter what, they don't feel like they're truly adding value to that person that door they're knocking on. And I think that's a challenge that people need to get over, right? If you can believe that you have the cure for cancer, you're going to muster up the courage to knock on that door.
It goes back to why. The very first question, every consultation environment, we have this questionnaire. I was like, what question do you ask for the first question? What's the first question you ask someone when someone comes to you about like anything? And the first question is, why did you start your business? Like, why are you doing this? And it's different. The answers are so over the board. Someone's like, I need commissions. I need money, which is like the most basic reason. I've had people say, I have a whole new vision for how real estate should be sold. I see so many deals, falling apart. I really believe I can do this better. There's so many different reasons for the why. And I think if someone can tap into their really why they're selling real estate, where it's beyond just to make a commission. It's a selfish way of looking at it.
Every single person I talk to, every class that I run, my first class is, what is your why? Why are you going to get into this industry or get back into this business and get told no more than you're going to be told yes? You're going to have really hard days. You're not going to want to come out of your house sometimes because you just got your rear end kicked. What is your why?
And if you don't know what it is, you have to just almost come up with something more than just getting a paycheck.
Yes, it has to be more than money.
You have to find something true to yourself to what that is. Like, Toby, why do you run Super Agents Live?
I will tell you in a second. I will answer that question for you. The one thing I want to say is if people don't really, this is a challenge for everybody, right? I'm sure Frank had this challenge, Greg had the challenge. I serendipitously answered my why after I did my thing. My goal was always, I want to make $1 million. I made $1 million.
That's where it started with me. Is I got to make money.
Right, but along the way with that company, I started realizing, I had 58 employees with my first big company, and I realized when you go to your employees' houses or their neighborhoods, like for me, I'm like, I didn't know, and so when I started to learn that, like what their lives were like, I started realizing, when my employees wouldn't show up, I didn't have an employee problem. I had a dream problem. My employees didn't have dreams because they were just making it. And for me, when I realized that, I started to shift the things that I did, right? I started to add more training. I started to add more value into their lives. I started helping them try to achieve their dreams. And when that happened, I realized, whoa, that feels so much better to me than just putting another zero in my bank account. Now, so this dovetails right into why I started the show. Real estate is broken. Sure, listings are online, all that's fine, but it's really, I say this all the time, right? It's stuck in the 70s or 80s or whatever. If you want to be successful, it's buy a book, go to a seminar, hire a coach. Really? So for me, I looked around at what industry I can make an impact on. Real estate. It's old. It's stodgy. The trainers, guys like a Mike Ferry, the guy's old, man. How much more like runway does that dude have? So I saw room for a new voice. I thought I could be that voice. So and if I can be that voice, can I positively impact people's lives? Can I help them achieve their dreams by providing this content that I do? I think I can, and I think I have. And it's not, NAR says the average age of a real estate agent is 57. My show listener is certainly not that old. So I have a lot of, it runs the gamut here. But a lot of the people that I interact with, first let me say, so I have listeners that are just getting their license, and I have people that have 1,000-person brokerages. Listen to my show. Now, I've talked with all of them. More often than not, the people who communicate with me are people who are just getting into the industry. I get emails every day, multiple every day. Toby, I'm a huge fan. You've changed my life. I feel so much more ready to take on the world in my business. That feels great. Now, I'm not monetizing it, right? So I do all this for free. It's a community service. The monetization piece will happen later because I don't need to do that. But so that's why I started the show.
That's great, man. With Viral, I thought there was a better way for people to communicate with their database. Get in front of a video camera and send it out was a lot more effective than a lot of the other marketings out there. I thought I have a new vision for how people could do that. And then usually when it comes into real estate, what you find is, the people who are really successful in real estate really enjoy, training and developing others to help them do the administrative work that's required so they can go on the sales side. Or even better, probably, in my opinion, one of the most profitable ways to generate leads is to hire hourly prospectors to tee up leads for you, and to love training and developing someone who may not have quite the skill set as you to do the prospecting, to develop them in a way where they can start teeing up leads for you. That was a lot of people's big whys, is I want to build a team and help more people and help people grow their careers. That's a very big, why.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Frank, here's the deal. So I've done over 100 interviews, right? I mean, billions and billions of dollars of transactions, right? I've gotten that, I've gotten free coaching along the way, right? More often than not, right? There's a theme that rolls through all the shows, and more often than not, it's amazing. The people that are super, super successful in real estate, they have one thing in common. They love people. They love people. They love to talk with people. They just love people. Now, it doesn't mean, there's a lot of people that are introverts. I mean, they may not love people so much, right? They may like isolation more. And believe it or not, I'm somewhat of this weird temperament of, I'm very super extroverted, but when I take the test, they say, hey, Toby, you're kind of introverted, which is a little bit weird. I don't get it. I'm much better in front of a group of 30 than I am in a group of 5. But anyhow, so if you love people, you're on the right track. This is the right industry for you. And if you don't love people, it doesn't mean you can't be successful. You're just going to have to build a little bit different business.
Any other questions on taking action? Feel free to type a question in the Q&A box, and we'll answer here like everyone else. Holly says, great ideas, guys. You are awesome. Thanks for doing this. Thanks, Holly.
Yeah, thank you, Holly.
Let's break into something really quickly. I think it was you, Frank, or Toby. I'm not sure who said it, but you said that people are afraid that the reason that they don't go out is because they're not bringing value. Okay. Well, let me help you understand how valuable you are. When the scientists broke all this math down, right? This is part of the research I did this morning, and they isolated, the time of year, your parents' genetic makeup, all these factors in life. The reality of Frank and Toby and I being born to the people we were being born to at that time and bringing something of value into this world, you are 1 in 400 trillion. Those were the odds of you showing up. 1 in 400 trillion. That's a lot of zeros. And if you don't think you're not bringing value, you are so missing the mark here. There was no reason that you would be here if you were not bringing any kind of value. And the majority of the people, the reason why you never take action, that's one, because you don't understand it, but two, is that all of us live in this kind of like this, more or less an autopilot of a life, right? You get up, you do the same routine, you take the same roads to work, you have the same, conversations, you get your coffee, go to your desk, and you live life like this. Then you go home, you have the same meals, you watch the same type of programming, give it more or less, and you go to bed around the same time, get up in the morning, do the same damn thing all
Tony
over
Robbins says you eat breakfast out of a box, then you drive in your box to work in your box.
You
look
in the box. It just get out of the box.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that when people think about changing something in their life, something that's just different, right? It's your mind automatically pulls the e-brake on you. You're like, whoa, no, I can't do this. This is too different for me. So I dare you to go out and do something that's different, that's not in your routine today, and do it for 5 days straight. It will become more routine. They did a study down at UC Irvine with a monkey. Now, I do not condone this type of testing, but this is what they do. They took a monkey, and they taped down 4 of his fingers, okay? And they just left 1 finger up. And then they would have him tap it, just continually do this. They did it 10,000 times. Well, guess what happened when they undid the other 4 fingers? That finger just kept tapping for no reason. It's because it was a conditioned effect. Our lives, we're a product of our entire condition, but thank God for us, we don't have to do the same thing 10,000 times. For us, if you were to do an action maybe 2 to 3 dozen times, continuously, you will create a conditioned response to that action. So you're afraid of door knocking, you're afraid of talking to the person behind you in line, you're afraid of doing cold calls, you're afraid of doing whatever you're afraid of doing. I dare you and challenge you to go out and start building a new conditioned response. And that will dramatically, increase your lead volume. There's Tony Robbins, Frank, you mentioned him. He has I have this up. If you guys could see my wall, I have like a 9-foot wall, about 5 feet wide or 6 feet wide. That's nothing but inspirational quotes right next to me. Tony said that it broke it down after interviewing thousands of people, and he said, look, this is the reason, this is what the cycle of people not being successful or being successful, this is what follows. So people have potential. We all can, say that we all have, unlimited potential, right? But we just don't tap into it. So our results are directly in regards to how much action we take. So if we do a little bit of action, we get a little bit of results. Then that reinforces our potential, our belief in our potentials a little bit. But if we took massive action, we would get massive results. We would reinforce our potential with a massive amount. Then that cycle just speeds up and speeds up and speeds up and speeds up. Now this can either kill you or make you, because it depends on what you're putting your energy behind. So take a look at that today. See where you're concentrating, where you're putting your energy, and it will change the way that you do marketing and prospecting and your life. I mean, put this in any part of your life. It's going to radically transform it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, man. And really at the base of what you're saying, right? Massive action, or doing something different, right? Putting new routines into your life. At the base of that, dude, talking to the person, door knocking, it is stepping outside of your comfort zone, right? You
100%.
have to stretch yourself every day. That's at the base of what you just said. And people don't stretch themselves. They don't. They stay in. They have their comfort bubble, and they want to stay in there. So I say, get out. And so the question is, for me, why don't people do something they're scared every day? Now, and the deal is this. I mean, this is something that I talked about Wednesday. And here's I'm gonna dig in this, right? But so teenagers, think about being a teen, right? 15, 16. You think you know everything, and you think you know that because you've fallen off the roof and you get up again. But in reality, the real scary stuff in life, you really haven't tried it. But when you're a kid, you're testing theories, you're testing possibilities, but when you start to grow up, when you start to get a little bit older, you realize you can't do everything, right? You can't do that job or that task, whatever, and they start to get disillusioned, right? They stop trying because they have failed. And then when you fail, they fall into inaction. And for me, right, most people I meet are, in my opinion, right, they're dull, right? Talk to them, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Hey, and they're vanilla.
They're a doorknob of a human being.
Doorknob, right? Totally. And those people, what happened to them? They mistook those early failures in life for a sign that they should just stop trying, right? So they become lethargic, they become boring, and dull. So for us, right, in terms of pushing our comfort zone and our boundaries, if we can continually embrace our failures, just like that, how we started this show, the kid who learns to walk falls down, gets up, falls down, gets up until they can walk and then run. So if we as people can embrace our failures and fail forward, just get 1% better every day, at the end of the year, you'll be 365% better. But earlier, Greg was saying that, talking about the compound effect. So you're going to be actually better than 365% better. So I don't know if our time is up, but I think that was kind of a cool. We ended where we started. So look, Greg, I appreciate you showing up. Appreciate taking the time out. I know that you know how much money your time is worth. So I'm sure coming on the show with an hour with Frank and I cost you, I don't know, $4,000. You're a wealthy man. You too, Frank. So
this is more. I gotta tell you, I love doing this stuff. You know, Toby, from being on your show a couple of times, and Frank, and you, as you and I build a business relationship, I'll tell you, this makes me happy. I love to watch people grow. When people call me around the country and they're like, Greg, I know you're super busy. I know you got a ton of things going on. You know, I would love to understand a little bit more about something. I will call you back immediately if I got 10 minutes, and I will give you as much information and send you all the documentation that I personally use in any resource I have. And I don't really ask for anything in return. What I do ask is this, is that you go out and you use it. You have to take action and use it, because it does me or you no good if you don't take what I have learned, you know, shorten that learning curve and go make money. And I love to watch people grow.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. And Toby, wonderful. I want to just go ahead and answer one question here. And then, Robert, your question is not kind of coming quite through. So if you want to ask your question, we'll do a little 5-minute overtime here. But Steve Benson asks, this one's for me. Frank, with video, is it quality or quantity? For example, is 40 iPhone videos, better than maybe say 20 more better produced, better planned videos? And I'll just take 30 seconds to answer this one for you, Steve, because I want to get everyone's questions. It depends upon the application. If it's a run and done nurture video, where you want to send out 2 timely education videos to your database, it can be a quick tip shot right from your iPhone. Quantity, in my opinion, is better than quality for the general nurture videos, like a quick market update, here's what's going on in the community, stuff like that. You're sending out to your whole list. Every lead you got, 2 videos a month. All right. When it comes to follow-up sequences for specific leads, let's talk about expireds, FSBOs, new contact welcomes, whatever it may be, where it's the same lead you put on the drip campaign, day 0, day 2, day 3, day 10, whatever. Those I'd put a lot more planning into. I'd almost script them out. I'd really make sure the lighting is good and the sound is good, because multiple hot quality leads will be seeing those, whereas the faster, more quick videos will be going to the whole database more as a nurture program. So I want to answer that. Then Robert, I think the question for you is that you're just starting out in St. Louis. Maybe you can post a comment here afterwards. Your question's not quite coming through. But post a comment here, and the guys can answer it for you in the comments section.
Yeah, and look, I just want to say one thing. Hey, Benson, what's up? That's Steve Benson's one of my coaching guys from Ontario. This guy does a lot of cool stuff. So, and I can't. His call was supposed to be at this time, so I pushed him off. So
cool.
I'm surprised he got on here.
Yeah, well, that's all we got for today. We got to end it. Toby, how should people get a hold of you again? Give me a call to action for people to do.
You have any questions? Toby, Toby, at superagentslive.com. Same thing. I read all my emails. I will get back to you. And if you don't know the show or you haven't, go to it. It's awesome, man. superagentslive.com. It's all free, and subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher. So I look forward to 3 weeks from now. We'll do it again.
Great. Greg, thank you. Toby, everyone?
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.